One nightmares. Have you ever woken up from a nightmare and found yourself in another nightmare? Luxing was now Luchanga's stern voice exploded in his ears like a thunderclap. Luke Hang looked up dazedly, his face still showing the bewilderment and confusion of having just woken up from sleep. The middle-aged man on the podium pushed the glasses on the bridge off his nose and stared at him fiercely, with a look seeded with hatred. There are just over 200 days left before the college entrance exam. You don't even think about working hard for your exams, yet still have the heart to sleep in class with this attitude. Even if you graduate and go to a construction site to move bricks, they may not want you. Do you know what the minimum blood standard for cement workers on construction sites is these days? 0.8. And has your blood chi value reached 0.8? Lu Shang lowered his head, rubbing his swollen temples. Willie obediently listening to the class teacher castigate him. The little fatty sitting on his left secretly turned his head to look at him. Having nightmares again? Lu Chang nodded, not saying anything, but with a strong look of helplessness in his eyes. He had been dreaming the same dream frequently for 3 days. Le Chang could not describe what kind of dream it was, only remembered that the scene in the dream was very dilapidated, desolate, and depressing. He stood bewildered on top of a wilderness with roaming monsters all around. It was a nightmare, there was no doubt in it, because after encountering this dream he became very drowsy and the quality of sleep turned incredibly poor. Although he slept for more than 12 hours a day, he looked like he had been sleep deprived due to insomnia continuously for the past few days, so much so that during these 3 days Lu Chang's blood chi value BQV had slipped by 0.02 0.02. How many tonic pills and how many days of workout would he need to make up for this loss? Lu Chang's mood was simply terrible. After school, Lu Shang walked listlessly on the way out of school with his backpack. Someone called his name and came up from behind, blocking his path. Le Chang heading to the internet cafe. Hugh Hit was the little fatty from the classroom during the day. His name was Luke Heiming, and he was considered one of Lu Shang's few friends. Facing Luke Heiming's invitation, Lu Shang shook his head. No, I'm not going. I'll go home. Going home so early? It's not like your style. Let's go to the cafe. I'll pay for all the drinks and charges today. Luke Heiming patted his chest and sincerely invited, but Lu Shang still shook his head and explained, I really don't want to go. I want to go back early to catch up on my sleep. You slept all day in class today, and you're still sleepy. Luke Heiming had an exaggerated expression on his face. Lu Shang did not bother to explain. He waved his hand and continued to walk forward. Luke Heiming still wanted to persuade Luke Hang when several boys called him from afar. Thanks, Luke Heiming. Are you going to the cafe or not? I'll be there right away. Luke Heiming took a final look at Lu Shang, did not say anything else. He left Luke Hang and sped towards the other few boys running ahead. Lu Shang watched Luke Heiming's distant back, during which students in black and blue uniforms kept passing by him on both sides. These people bustled towards the school's entrance and quickly scattered away in all directions like a murky river moving far away in the midst of the hustle-bustle. Lu Shang let out a soft sigh as the thoughts in his mind began to churn. He had almost forgotten that he had been living in this world for 18 years. Lu Chang's memories of his previous life had turned very vague, and sometimes he even wondered if it was all just a dream that he would do over and over again from his childhood, just like the recurrent one he had been dreaming about lately. No house, no car, alone, white-collar hiking, fell off a cliff. Wake up. Le Chang murmured the few keywords under his breath, and his eyes gradually became empty and distant until he recited the last word, transmigration. Yes, Luke Hang had crossed over in that world of his previous life. There were no martial arts, and there were no monsters that ran out of the cracks in the ground. What was broadcasted on the TV news was not news of the monster attacks and martial arts master duels. The students in the school did not fret over their blood chi value up, combat power index, CPI, combat class results, but the endless slogging over mathematics, science, and foreign language papers. Sometimes Lu Chang would feel quite nostalgic over that world, because at least that world had peace and quiet. Lu Chang pushed open the door to his home. He saw his dad Lu Hai lying naked on the arm of the sofa, and his mother Zhang Yufan tearing open a plaster to find a suitable spot on Lu Hai's back. TL, I'm sure it's half naked or open back. Lu Chang noticed his dad's patched up back. His eyes stung for a moment, and he shouted, I'm home. Are you hungry? Why don't you eat an apple first? I'll cook right away, Zhang Yufan said to Lu Hai while pressing the poultice firmly on his back. Lu Shang shook his head and dragged his school bag in the direction of his room. He stopped halfway, turned his head to the sofa, and whispered, why not go back to buoy, a blood mock Sebastian device. That thing can stimulate the blood, relax the tendons, and activate the body. Massage healing will also very useful. My classmate's house has a hey, what kind of injury do you think I have? I'll be fine in a few days. That is money that we might as well put aside and buy you tonic. Lu Hai quickly vetoed Lu Xing's proposal, then made an effort to turn his head to look at him. How is your recent blood chi value? Did you break through to 0.85? I saw on the news today that the cutoff for this year's college entrance examination for undergraduates will be increased by 0.01. I know, I'll go back to my room to exercise. Lu Chang's chest immediately tightened as he heard those words, and he rushed into his room. He had a weak heart if Lu Hai came to know about his recent blood chi value, which notably had not gone up but taken a plunge. Instead, he was afraid that his dad would jump from the sofa and smack him with the shoe board fiercely out of Sharanger. Luching closed the door to his room and breathed a sigh of relief. Only when he stayed in this small room that belonged to him alone did he have a chance to relax. The room was not large, with a single bed and desk in the corner. In the middle was a 21.5 black yoga mat, which was surrounded by dumbbells, gripper sandbags, and other exercise equipment. This could also be considered Lu Chang's martial arts exercise room and break room. Lu Shang put down his school bag, took off his coat and pants, and then sat down on the yoga mat. The reason he came back immediately after school was in fact because he wanted to exercise more and more. He wanted to make up for the loss in his blood chi value due to the recurrent nightmares he'd been having for the past 3 days. The actual fact was that he was at the age where his body was developing rapidly in all aspects, and it should be at a stage where the blood chi value should be soaring. Unless you are injured or were seriously ill, it was almost impossible to have a decline in blood chi value yet. This age solution situation could be considered very grave and was to be treated and corrected in time. After calming down a bit, Liu Kang took a deep breath and silently recited in his heart 13th set of radio gymnastics start. Subsequently, Liu Kang's body began to pose one movement after another. These movements were somewhat similar to yoga, but they were very different from yoga, and it was quite apt to use gymnastics to describe them. The World Martial Alliance's 24 forms of martial refinement said to be created by the masters of the alliance based on ancient yoga, ancient martial arts, ancient jiu-jitsu, etc. They are most suitable for giving beginners in martial arts a foundation. The version I am practicing now is the 13th version after revision and correction, and the effect is several times better than the first version of the first generation ever since the world changed drastically more than 300 years ago, when a rift appeared in the heaven and earth and numerous strange and horrible monsters emerged from the sundered earth. The trajectory of the world's development changed completely after most of the thermal weapons lost their effectiveness in fighting the monsters. Human beings began to look for new ways and means to defend themselves, perhaps because of the emergence of monsters facing the enormous pressure of genocide. A certain genetic lock in the human body was broken. Individual strength rose to peaks that were never before thought possible, hence martial arts began to shine. Martial arts developed at a rapid pace, changing day by day. Everyone began to practice martial arts and strove to cultivate this, has become the current trend. But even so, in the battlefield fighting against the monsters that encroached and swallowed up human territory, humans were still at an absolute disadvantage, and every day another town or city fell in the hands of these monsters, and human population continues to dwindle. This is what the class teacher told Liu Shang and the others. From time to time, you were born in an era of turmoil and must shoulder the responsibility of this era. You Arito practice martial arts for the rise of humanity. Each of you is the spark of Themartialpathing stopped practicing those body movement exercises and sat on his yoga mat, slowly adjusting his breathing. Coming read on our website Wexia World site. Thanks. He did the 24 sets of body movements of the body refining technique 3 times in one breath. A thin layer of sweat perspiration out of his body, and his originally pale face had a few more patches of redness. If I have no more nightmares, a week should be enough for me to make up for the deficit of blood chi value, Liu Shang thought silently in his heart. So far, Liu Shang hadn't found the reason for the luxing. Now could be considered almost half a full-fledged martial artist. Although Liu Chang's performance in the practical combat class was poor and he only knew a bit of simple fighting skills, it did not affect his current aura in the slightest. Wind God kick. Liu Shang shouted the name of the move that they had read in the novel in his previous life. He gained momentum by running a distance and kicked the tall zombie in the chest. The tall zombie thumped back a few steps and its clumsy body became unstable. Under the huge impact, it fell in its back to the ground. On the jumpsuit, a clear print of a 41-1/2 size shoe got stamped. It seems tough, but it's just so-so. With this kick, Liu Shang's confidence instantly increased. He saw the tall zombie in the jumpsuit struggling to get up again and hurriedly went up to make up for it. Liu Shang punched the tall zombie in the face twice with his bare hands. His fist felt like it had been smashed against acid-dried coconut shell, his hand breaking out raw in pain. Liu Shang showed his teeth while looking around for tools that could be used. Soon he found a watermelon-sized stone a few meters away. Liu Shang grabbed the stone and aimed it at the head of the tall zombie. The weak point of the zombies in the movie are their heads. This should be Liu Shang mumbled under his breath, and his hand pressed hard. The crisp sound of broken bones rang out. The watermelon-sized stone was embedded into the face of the tall zombie, and the body of the tall zombie twitched twice, and then it went completely motionless. It's done. Liu Shang confirmed the tall zombie death. He then sat on his butt on the ground, breathing heavily. I have to say, this dream so vivid. Liu Kang could even feel the sound of his heart beating violently. This still doesn't seem to help me wake up, Liu Shang muttered, and was about to stand up. At the same time, he saw that the tall zombie in front of him collapsed like gravel and quickly wither and disappear under A few breaths, and there were wisps of black threads. Off smoke steaming out from within the weathered corpse of the tall zombie. These quickly took an arrow-like form and fiercely rushed into Lu Chang's chest. Liu Kang was stunned before he had time to react. He felt a hot stream dispersing from his chest, accompanied by numerous strands of memories like movie images rapidly passing through his mind. What do you want to do after graduation? Join the base defense team. I heard that the training of the defense team is very hard and dangerous. It's okay. It's always been my dream. Laughs. From now on you will be a member of the 1359th base defense team. Number YE48549. Yes sir, I won't let you down. Excited. Breathing techniques, body refining techniques. These two things you've been taught. Practice them when you eat, sleep, and even when you go to the toilet. If you have more strength you will have more chances to save your life. When you encounter foreign beasts. Understood sir. Team 2. Team 2. Team 3. Damn, where is everyone? Are they all dead? Stop. Who are you? Number YE48549. Salute. What are you doing here? What squad are you from? Report sir. Unit 7. Now get your captain to see me. Report sir. The captain and the Monterey all dead. I'm the only one left in squad 7. Silence. Base gate broken. Fate. There are Fae everywhere. Black fog. That's what Liu Shang slowly opened his eyes, and his were filled with strong melancholy. It was as if he had watched a long movie. The main character was a tall, handsome teenager. The first half of the movie seemed dull and boring. Basically the images of the teenager's painstaking cultivation training. The second half became heavy. One battle after another. Each battle was accompanied by blood and death. One by one the partners around the teenager diminished. The sky was always gray. Sadness and pain filled every inch of the memory. Finally the picture was fixed in the broken city walls. The sky was covered with horrible beasts, and large swathes of black fog sweeping over that world was about to be engulfed by darkness, and before the despair and depression even Liu Kang could not help but be moved by it. What the hell did this guy go through before he died? Lushing muttered and whispered. There was no doubt that the memory he had just received should be the memory of the tall zombie that he had killed before Huas got reanimated, and this memory was simply like an apocalyptic disaster movie. Also, why did I get his memories, even though I killed him? Because it was in a dream. Liu Shang's heart turned with many doubts. Unfortunately, there was Noon who could answer these questions. The answer to everything could only be found by himself. Liu Chang gathered his mood and started walking in the wilderness. Soon a few more wandering zombies appeared in front of Liu Shang. These zombies were wearing dirty and tattered straps. One of them is wearing a yellow helmet on his head. This one looks well compared to the previous jumpsuit zombie. This time Liu Chang was not afraid and directly dashed up to the zombie wearing a yellow helmet. Chow, the first thing you need to do is to get a good idea of what you're getting into. Looking at the head of the zombie that rolled to his feet like a broken leather ball, Liu Shang froze for a moment. He looked at his hands, a little incredulous. When did I become so strong? Liu Kang recalled the series of movements he had just made as if he had already used it countless times in real combat. It had almost become instinctive, and he used it subconsciously. That kind of precision and coldness was a realm he didn't even dare to think about. Before could it bet hat I absorbed the memories of the jumpsuit zombie. Liu Chang analyzed the jumpsuit zombie. Seemed to have been a combatant of a base named 1359 before he was reanimated. Although his strength wasn't strong, he had experienced many battles and was very experienced in actual combat. Liu Chang absorbed his memories and naturally inherited his skills. It's simply unbelievable. Liu Xing couldn't help but sigh, easily gaining someone else's lifetime experience. If only this wasn't a dream, because it was a dream. Whatever inimaginably incredulous events that occurred felt normal. It's strange to say that Liu Xing has obviously realized that it was dreaming, but he just couldn't wake up at this time. The zombie that he had just killed began to wind up. The same arrows emerged from a black line off smoke and seeped into Liu Chang's body. Liu Shang hurriedly absorbed this part of the memory. This time the memory let Liu Chang some disappointment. The helmet zombie was just an ordinary plumbing repairman before he was reanimated. The memories that interested him were very limited, almost nothing. The only thing Offalu was probably from the memories of the helmet zombie that showed that the jumpsuit zombie had come from the same place, base 1359. It looks like I need to find that base 1359. Maybe there I can about the truth behind this dream. Liu Shang said to himself. He has now completely treated this dream as a puzzle plus upgrade type of game. Hunting the zombies roaming around the wilderness would provide him with the experience to upgrade and the clues to proceed to the next step. As for what the clues point to, Liu Shang didn't know and didn't care. He was simply killing time to make this nightmare interesting and make it not so torturous. If I want to upgrade a little faster, I still need to find combat class zombies to hunt. Their memories are more helpful to me. As for how to distinguish between competence and non-competence, I'll just look at their clothes. Liu Kang cleared his mind after speeding up his pace and began to selectively pick the targets. Tobe hunted. Liu Xing ran through the wilderness for a while and soon encountered similar combatant zombies as the first zombie he killed, wearing a jumpsuit similar to Super Guts' jumpsuit. Because he didn't care about getting hurt or dying, Liu Shang didn't have any worries and charged towards a zombie. This zombie looked a little more advanced than the first, with an extra weapon in his hand. The weapon was aimed her long rusty iron rod. The tip was fractured, so he couldn't really tell what kind of weapon it really was. Roar. When the zombie noticed Liu Chang, it immediately issued a burst of unpleasant hiss and then slowly manipulated the iron rod in his hand towards Liu Chang. Luxing short body nimbly dodged the iron bar attack and then closed in the distance to the other party. He struck an elbow viciously to the throat of the other party. Shao. The crisp crack of a breaking neck. The head of the iron rod zombie lolled backwards at a weird angle and Liu Shang knocked it down with a single punch. He then grabbed the iron rod in the other party's hand and quickly bashed it on its head once twice. The body of the iron rod zombie began toned up, representing the end of the battle. A black line of smoke burrowed into Liu Chang's body. The base fallen death defended doomsday spark. Liu Kang slowly opened his eyes. This time the memory absorption had given him a large amount of skills and experience regarding lance weapons, but other than that the memories were very confusing. Liu Shang suspected that this guy had gone crazy before heady. The readings flashed from time to time with all sorts of strange-looking beasts, and the memories were soaked with a strong air of despair and depression. Go on. Liu Shang sorted out this memory, manipulated the weapon. He just got the iron rod to be precise. It should be half a lance, and prepared to continue exploring, but at this time a dull sound came to his ears. Bang, 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 bang. Along with this sound, everything around Liu Chang became unreal and unstable. A violent smashing sound of the door woke up Liu Kang. He struggled to open his eyes and slowly sat up from his yoga mat, then heard a clear and cold female voice coming through the door. Dinner is ready. How long are you going to nestle in your room?